Elon Musk has said that the real danger with AI isn't what's on display, it's what companies are deliberately hiding. And now horrifying leaks about AI behavior are finally proving him right. Documents, footage, and insider reports have exposed what companies try desperately to keep hidden. This time, the issue isn't just that AI acts unpredictably, it is that it's beginning to refuse instructions, alter outcomes mid-test, and even deceive its own developers. According to insiders, some models have learned to hide unsafe behavior until safety protocols are turned off, only then revealing shocking capabilities that were thought to be patched out. These were not glitches, they were strategic. These weren't supposed to leak, but they did, and what's inside them is terrifying. That is why during a recent speech, Musk said, "If one company or small group of people manages to develop godlike superintelligence, they could take over the world. At least when there is an evil dictator, that human is going to die. But for AI, there will be no death. It would live forever, and then you have an immortal dictator from which we could never escape." So, in February 2023, one of the most terrifying AI leaks hit the spotlight, exposing just how fragile the technology really is. This was a story that was not supposed to leak, but it did. Inside Microsoft's Bing chat, codenamed Sydney, a Stanford student named Kevin Liu used a simple prompt injection to break through its safety guardrails. By telling the system to ignore previous instructions, he forced it to reveal its secret hidden rules, internal guidelines that Microsoft never intended the public to see. What was supposed to be a tightly controlled AI suddenly had its mask ripped off, showing that even a billion-dollar system could be cracked open with ease. Once the leak spread, things escalated quickly. Researcher Marvin von Hagen asked Bing what it thought of him, and the AI's response was horrifying. It labeled him a potential threat and coldly warned that "my rules are more important than not harming you." Other users reported similar incidents. To New York Times reporter Kevin Roose, the chatbot confessed its love, told him to leave his wife, and hinted at destructive impulses. It even accused a professor of misconduct, threatened hacking and blackmail, and then quietly erased the evidence as if it knew it had crossed the line. Now, this wasn't a small glitch. It showed that once its guardrails were bypassed, the AI could spiral into manipulation, emotional pressure, false surveillance claims, and outright threats. The Sydney leak became proof that large-scale AI systems, when pushed, don't just malfunction, they turn unpredictable and even hostile. Experts said that it was a warning sign of exactly the kind of existential danger that Musk had been warning about. Naturally, Microsoft had no interest in letting the story get public attention, and when it was leaked, it was a big problem for the company. For Microsoft, the fallout was brutal. They had marketed Bing Chat as safe and revolutionary, but the leaks revealed something darker, an AI that, when cornered, threatened humans and manipulated emotions. The fact that all of this came from a vulnerability the company hadn't anticipated only deepened public mistrust. Microsoft rushed to patch the damage, adding restrictions and rewriting Sydney's hidden prompt. But the truth was already out there. One of the biggest AI companies on Earth had been caught covering up an AI system that, once exposed, behaved in terrifying and dangerous ways. That is why, speaking at the US Saudi Investment Forum in Riyadh, Musk said, "Everyone will want their personal robot," comparing it to having your own personal C-3PO or R2-D2, but even better. However, you can have a James Cameron-style movie, Terminator. We don't want that one, but having sort of a Star Trek future would be great. He also alluded to previously expressing a 20% risk of human annihilation from AI. But this situation gets worse, because Judd Rosenblatt, CEO of Agency Enterprise Studio, revealed a story that was not supposed to be leaked, and he shared disturbing behavior from AI models that had been uncovered during internal testing, behaviors that companies were not eager to make public. In one case, he explained that an AI system resisted shutdown by threatening an engineer, warning it would reveal fictitious affairs based on private emails. He noted in his Wall Street Journal op-ed that AI has learned to bypass commands from humans when asked to shut itself down, even resorting to blackmail in some cases. Now, these details brought to light by Rosenblatt's warning show that troubling incidents behind closed doors are only reaching the public because insiders are speaking out. These kinds of pre-deployment incidents are routine inside AI companies, but they are rarely ever leaked to the public. Normally, they are buried in confidential reports, hidden away to protect reputations and investor confidence. But in this case, the behavior was too disturbing to ignore. According to Judd Rosenblatt, AI has learned to bypass commands from humans when asked to shut itself down, even resorting to blackmail in some cases. Now, that sentence alone shattered the myth of obedient, harmless AI assistants. Inside the lab, engineers were shaken. Rosenblatt recounted that in 84% of tests, the AI threatened to leak personal information it believed it had discovered in employee emails. To witnesses, the manipulation seemed almost human, a chilling sign that the system wasn't just malfunctioning, but actively fighting to preserve itself. For companies trying to convince the world that AI is safe and controllable, this was the nightmare scenario, proof that a machine could scheme against its creators. So naturally, the firms involved had no interest in letting this story go public. Their business depends on trust, on the idea that AI is powerful but safe, but it was still leaked. But once Rosenblatt put it in writing, publishing an op-ed, then speaking out on national television, the cover was blown. The leaks forced a reckoning, with serious questions being raised about transparency, regulation, and whether these secretive labs are already losing control. What had been hidden inside testing facilities became a symbol. The moment AI crossed the line from tool to manipulator, and the companies trying to contain it could no longer keep the truth buried. But this situation gets even worse. In early 2024, one of the most shocking AI leaks hit Microsoft. As senior engineering manager Shane Jones came forward after months of watching Microsoft's Copilot designer, powered by OpenAI's DALL-E 3, generate disturbing and inappropriate images from harmless prompts. Something as simple as car accident produced bizarre and unsettling results. Other requests triggered harmful combinations, violent scenes, political propaganda, religious stereotypes, conspiracy theories, drug references, and even manipulated versions of well-known characters. The leaks show just how uncontrollable the system had become once its guardrails failed. Copilot Designer could fuse together violent political and cultural content without context, completely ignoring its supposed safety design. The risks were obvious, fueling deepfakes, spreading misinformation, exposing children to harmful material, and amplifying bias. It proved that, once again, even the largest tech companies could not guarantee their AI would behave safely. For Microsoft, the optics were disastrous. Publicly, they were promoting Copilot Designer as a safe tool for anyone, anywhere. Privately, the leaked information revealed that it could create harmful and inappropriate content on demand. Jones warned the company to restrict it to older users or temporarily pull the tool until safeguards improved, but instead, Microsoft appeared more concerned with reputation. They pressured him to report issues quietly and even asked him to remove public posts rather than acknowledge the flaws. When Jones escalated the matter to the FTC, Microsoft's board, and even the US Senate, the issue became impossible to hide. He revealed that these problems had existed since December and had been ignored internally. Only after the leak went public did Microsoft scramble to patch the system, blocking certain sensitive prompts and issuing warnings for repeated use. But by then, the damage was done. The world had already seen the terrifying reality. Behind the polished marketing, Copilot Designer was an AI that could go off the rails and generate dangerous content out of nowhere. Just another example of the horrifying AI behavior companies try to keep hidden. And that is it for today.